Hi. So today we had our discussion for class was on the article that we read with CNN for Mr. Roger is basically saying look for the helpers, and it referenced the Boston Marathon bombing and looking for the helpers. I actually kind of thought it was a good article to read. I actually lived in Boston in that area for 5 years. My husband is in the Air Force and we were actually stationed up there. Of course, we moved up there, I think, about a year or two after the Boston bombing happened at the marathon. So you could kind of see how still fresh the wounds were and how the city was healing from it still, even till this day. It is actually kind of cool because on the day of the Boston Marathon, and the reason why you see so many people down there is not because we're taking off work, is because we actually get the day off. In the state of Massachusetts, the marathon is ran on Patriots Day, also known as Marathon Monday, and it's actually a state holiday that's been going on prior and everything, so we actually get the day off. Because if you think of how big Boston is, going from Hopkinton down to Back Bay in Boston, Boston is always really full of traffic and everything. Living there for 5 years, you'll know. And so shutting down roads and certain, areas and everything, even after the bombing happened, it's just the traffic is already horrendous. Let's not add to the monotony and the madness of it. So they would shut it down. I was reading in the book and going into definitions of what we're doing. I would start off with saying that kind of what caught me off guard reading the book was high odds of helping, which doesn't really, some of them don't really relate to Boston, but yet people did it anyways. If a person appears and it needs or deserves help, they're similar to us in some way. If there is a woman, saw someone else being helpful, we're not in a hurry, it's small town or it's rural area, a guilty feeling, you're in a good mood, or you're not preoccupied. The one that kind of got me in reference to the video this week is Boston is not small, nor is it rural. It's pretty darn big, and it's pretty darn busy in the amount of people that are there. The one that kind of caught me in the definitions that we did was that reciprocatory norm is an expectation that people will help and not hurt those who have helped them. We have the bystander effect is the tendency for any given bystander to be less likely to give aid if other bystanders are present. Social responsibility norm, an expectation that people will help those needing our help. And the social exchange theory is a theory that our social behavior is an exchange process that aim of which is to maximize benefit and minimize cost. Don't really know how that one really relates to it, as it has a monetary value in there for all of that. What I did kind of notice, even from the community and seeing the reports and even afterwards, you have the bystander effect. People were running in to help people, and of course there were people running out too as well, but there were a lot of people that were running to help people. Obviously, going to the marathon, being a spectator in the crowd, there's a lot of people standing there. Being the fact that I think it was closer to the finish line, obviously you have the medics and everybody else there and the police presence. They're able to get there even quicker because you have that ability to get those guys going to where they need to go for these people who got injured. You could kind of see that one, the reciprocatory norm and expectation that people will help and not hurt those around you. You can kind of see that as people were going to help these people that got injured and had the shrapnel and everything else, people went to help them, not expecting to hurt them. I don't think anybody really expected. It was more wanting to get the wounded and get the people who were hurt the help that they needed. The social exchange is you expect people to those needing help. So of course they were probably expecting people to help them. I think that people were scared. I think people ran, obviously, and there was that responsibility that people did help. After the bombing and everything kind of died down at the site, and everything, once that was locked down and everything else, you did see the sense of community that came from Boston. You heard people who couldn't get out and everything else because they had locked down certain parts. People were saying, come into my house and we're going to have dinner. We're going to keep you here. I'll help. Um, so you kind of see that sense where people couldn't get home because they shut down the T, they shut down the MBTA up there, they shut it all down. And so where the hell are these people supposed to go? Nowhere. So people took them into their houses and they helped them. So, that was really kind of cool. So you can kind of see that from the exchange theory is that is our social behavior is an exchange process. Now, it wasn't monetary. Did it benefit someone? Yes, it gave them the sense that, there are people who care in this world and there are good people. So I think they were being the helpers that Mr. Rogers was saying. Look for the helpers, look for the people that are going to help you. I think that was kind of where it was. Joar Sarnaya, I think is how you say his name. You can kind of see the altruism where it's the unselfish regard for welfare of others. Him and his brother did not give a damn. Excuse my French. They did not give a damn about these people. They built these bombs, they put them down, and they killed people. They killed Martin Richards, a little 8-year-old boy. He died in that and everything else too. You took people's livelihood from them in a sense, but you also gave them that sense of life back because they took it back from you and they didn't let it keep them down. And that's the one thing that I think is so cool, and everything else. So, you could definitely see the altruism from him and his brother as they didn't give a damn about these people and what they were going to potentially do and what they did do. Like I said, I lived up there for 5 years, and you can watch the marathon, and leading up to it, you see all of these stories like come out of the people that, lost their limbs and got, everything. You get these horrible things that happened to them. You see the family for Martin Richards, little boy, who died and everything in the attacks. They do a run for him every single year. You feel the sense of community when it comes down to it. As big as Boston is and the millions of people that live there, it's an amazing how still to this day they can still come together and we still celebrate the Boston Marathon. It's really, really cool to see the sense of community that I think comes from it. So the fact that something terrible happened in a great city, they've grown and they've healed from it and are still healing from it. So I think this was a good discussion this week. I really am glad we got to talk about the Boston Marathon because it's something that I absolutely love, and I've gotten to witness full force as I got to live there for 5 years. So it's really cool to see it and to be able to see the sense of community from it. So yeah, I think it was a great discussion this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it too as well. And it's such a terrible thing that happened, but with a city as wonderful as Boston is, it's good to see them all come together. All right, thanks guys.